Hello there, and as usual, I'm Arron from Laststandgamers, and welcome back to another Mad Arron server tour. Now, the focus of this one is we're going to be covering both large and small bases, but we're going to be trying to put an extra focus on some of the smaller ones that we miss in some of the other videos. The smaller factions are really quite interesting. To survive, they really have to hide and be careful who they pick their fights with. But first, let's have a look at some of the big ones. So we're here in the FED hangar. Now, usually these guys love to stockpile ships, and there isn't really a change going on here too much. We've got the regular ships that we've seen. They've also been working on this guy, and this one's got these open door type systems where they're planning what looks to be these little motorbike rovers to jump out of. Of course, they've been stockpiling their standard attack rovers with their spare wheel on top. Very useful in case you do lose a wheel inside of a fight. And if we actually have a look at these, they are equipped with self-welding systems, so the wheels can be welded up if necessary. Very important. They've also got themselves these little jumpy, hoppy type bikes over in this section, and some standard attack rovers over here. Their base is of course deep within the mountainside, like we've seen with the two doors standing in the way. So quite a simplistic, big area drilled out, and they've got a lot of storage going on there. Let's head over to the next outpost. So scrolling down the list, we're actually going to be going to the SGC base, or the Stargate Command Outpost. So deep down here in the tunnel system where we've started, we've actually got this drilling system, and just look how much they managed to core out with this system as they've overlaid it and kept moving it, going down, connecting it, moving it, connecting it, moving it, and there's the drill tip right there. That is probably fueling a lot of their construction, just mining out the stone and getting them raw resources. A little bit of a different way. A lot of the time we see players going with the sort of plunge miners. That's not really a bad design. Now as we come through here, of course it's Stargate Command, so they've got themselves a portal here so they can jump through, and some bodies that they may have recovered or from the other side. As we enter into their bunker facility, we have a very long shaft to get to the surface. There's a little turret defending this area, and as we come up further, we enter into this right turn. We've got another chair because this place is so long you'll probably run out of power getting between the segments. And then we've got this cool sort of geothermal source here. So when people build these turbines underground, I like it if they try and build some sort of reason, and this thermal draft would be a perfect reason to turn these turbines. I appreciated it greatly there, rather than just having some random turbines underneath. So as we proceed up to the bunker entrance, we're going to go through the civilian door, and we pop out onto the surface. So now we're actually at their outer outpost. These guys love their hovercrafts. They've been working on a lot of them, but they've kind of scaled them back. We've got ourselves the miner that we've seen before. We've got this really interesting device that I'm really not sure what it is at the moment. It could really do a lot of things. Looks like it's got pistons and rotors around the top area, and it's using a hovercraft frame. I guess we'll have to see that in action. Moving over here, we've got ourselves this little red rover with the interlapping wheel design. I don't know if this is particularly effective. It's a bit like a German tank. And then as we come over here, we've got ourselves this box, a large, heavily armoured cube with a lot of interior turrets. And of course, when you put interior turrets on, you've got to make sure they're accessible as you're running around. Now over here, we've got ourselves this other truck-like rover. Really cool little bit of armour around that. And they've got themselves a cockpit area tucked in there. Very cool indeed. But I'm not too sure what this area is at the back. Is it a tow truck? Is it something that they're using to pick up smaller rovers and maybe load them on the back? Who particularly knows? And of course in the hangar they've got themselves some temporary bikes and other vehicles it looks like they're working on. So these guys have really pushed the limit when it comes to building things. They are building fast and quite effectively, and of course they've actually managed to get a radar dish on top of their tower. We won't have a look through their interior loft area because we've seen it in the last video. Anyway, let's continue on. So we've had a look through FED, we've had a look through SGC. Let's check out TIR. So coming over to the TR outpost, we can actually have a look. So these are the guys that had them two big ships. They've also got the massive gate over in that section. They've removed a little bit of this external bridge, and we've really been trying to do a server-wide effort for players to delete and remove or just scrap down rovers that are not in use anymore. And you can see they've got their miner stored up in here. They've also got this rover that's been cut down. This was one of the ships, and it's nice to see them getting rid of that, because these ships haven't left this outpost since they captured them. And because of that, I'd call them a little bit useless, and I'd really hope that they either ground them down and put the parts into something that'll actually be able to defend the place. They've got the various hangars. Of course, their car park has been removed for just a parking spot for this large TIR rover. I really like the look of this thing, especially with the spare wheels on. Could be very useful. There's no self-repairing system that I can see. But who knows, that thing could be quite effective, especially if it's got a nice rocket blast at the front. We've got Nanos Rover in this position. We've got these armoured boxes and a few of the smaller ones. The smaller rovers are always good to keep around in case you lose one in combat. You can rush back into the fight and still offer your team some support. They've also been working on these little guys around here, that are these little tiny turrets. A player can jump in, aim and control them. A little bit risky, I would say, because it can get shot out quite quickly. So there we go, that is the TIR base. The other rovers that we won't look at, we've already covered in previous episodes. So let's continue looking through the grid list. So we've seen TIR, let's head over to the top outpost. Now the top outpost was relatively new in the last little update tour, so there wasn't really too much to cover in here, but they've got themselves a miner, they built themselves something that looks like a battering ram, it's just missing the ram itself. And on the other side of this wall, they've got a rover that is taking construction, this bright orange rover. And it looks like they're working on some sort of turret. They've got a nice ramming device at the front of it there. And this lovely orange sort of camo pattern is definitely, to say, interesting. One of the more unique rover designs. Let's have a quick look inside their bunker and see what they're working on in here. So through here, we've got some of their various different rovers. It looks like they've also got a shaft that leads down that way, nothing in it at the current moment in time, and they've got a second story down there. They've got some green rovers, some really varied colour schemes. I personally like to keep my rovers. Oh, they got a KV in here. Oh, very nice. Yes, so there's pretty much rovers from everything. They've also got an attachment one on that one. Very cool inside the top base. They've also got this war truck with some Gatling mounted turrets on there. Let's head over to the next location. So the top base is clearly a smaller faction. And if we scroll down, let's head over to ADI. Now ADI, as we know, are still some of the bigger guys on the server. They've got a lot going on here. We'll start at the main gate. So you can see we've got the ADI logo, the folding gate system. They've got various different rovers. I believe they're calling that one the Turtle. They've got these little ones that are about the place, and they've been working on this road type design. They've also got a jump ramp so they can jump over their fence rather than be stuck behind the wall. It'll be interesting to see this place attacked. Now, here's something exciting for you. In one of the previous events that you've not yet seen, they've actually captured the event's aircraft carrier. Now, this aircraft carrier inside is really quite vast. It could be used to launch other rovers out of it, or even as a giant mobile HQ structure. Of course, it's big, it's quite lumbering. They might have some issues with it, but it looks like they've already started to convert the interior and build what they want inside here, as well as painting it bright white. This is kind of a sin in itself. So over here we've got some more storage areas. We've got their famous wooden rovers protected from aerial attack, and they've done these various little dugout hangars in there. Very cool indeed, as well as some little patrol vehicles to get around the outpost. They've also got this rover that I still don't understand the purpose. It looks like a giant caterpillar. I think it's for lifting other rovers up or smashing down on them. And then as we come up to the main facility, they've got themselves a little outdoor meeting table and the base themselves. We've seen most of the things in here, so I won't bore you by continuing to tour the same devices. They've got the banana. It looks like they're printing more things. We'll check their little vehicle hangar, see if there's anything going on in here. Just a little transport vehicle. But you can see they've got a very complete base. Lots of cool things going on in here. Let's head to the next location. So if we scroll down, we're going to actually bump into, there we go, we have the ADI. That's where we've just been. And then we've got ourselves the ARC. So we know ourselves well. The ARC guys, Void, Ogre, they're a crazy bunch. They love jumping around and causing some trouble. And their little outpost is dug right in between two mountains here. They've got the drill system there. They've actually punched a hole into this secondary hangar, and they have been producing and storing rovers very efficiently by the look of it. They've got these prong designs. I've seen Ogre drive these around, and basically he stabbed and ripped a rover apart with one of these. That was pretty damn cool. We've got some other designs being worked on in the past there, various different lengths, and we've also got the mining rover and the production unit rovers in the back there as well. These are some more refinery production units. Since you can only have a certain amount of refineries on a grid, by putting these as separate little units that they can use, it means that their processing is extremely fast, and they can also move it around as well. There isn't actually any static sort of processing units going on. So over here we've got ourselves their printing system. So this is their little sprue piece. They attach what they want to print onto it, and then they drive it out of the printer. Of course, you have to attach your own printer heads, or it becomes someone else's grids. Up here is, of course, their little disco area. They've got themselves this disco device. They had themselves a nice disco room up there. And they've got their loft area here as well, where they can have their rest if they need to. Another really cool outpost. Let's have a quick sneak peek in here. High protection protocol. I think I've been in here before. This is where they store their Thomas the Tank. And of course, they've got a little bit background story of how they found him. I believe this was their starter rover. And since then they've kept him stored in here as a memory of such an event. So let's jump back into our spawn list. So we're going to go down, we're going to go past FED, we've got a few, we don't want to miss anyone. So we've got DBS, they are the next on our visitation list. So as we come up to the DBS Outpost here, you can see these guys live in this little cavern area. They've been attacked before, their defences are quite mighty, they have some cool sneaky defences that you can see in previous videos, but let's have a look what's new to the table. It doesn't look like they've got a lot of new larger rovers from the looks of things. It looks like they've been developing their older systems, such as the pop-up turret. They've got the standard miner, and they've been probably developing further into these facility areas, so they've been digging out and welding at the same time. Now this thing, I'm not gonna lie, is a little bit of a lag machine. Drilling and printing at the same time is a bit mean on other players on the server, but it does work and we don't have any rules against it. So there you go. If we tuck into their hangar, you can see they've got their tube-like shaft running through here with the various production rooms that we've seen before, and a special shaft designed for Void, because this is the area where his little motorbike broke through. Of course, I'm spoiling all their traps and stuff, but it is a very annoying little tactic, digging in and taking them out. But it was done in a creative manner with a bike with a massive warhead attached to it. So there you go. That is the DBS Outpost. Let's head to the next location. So if we scroll ourselves down, we're trying not to go too fast, we don't want to miss anything. Let's go to the DIC base. So DIC is a much smaller faction, and they've got exactly what they need. They've got a small drilling rover in this lower base area. In their upper base, they've got this large plunge miner. Pretty simple, just a one-man faction surviving out here in the wastes. Very cool indeed. Let's keep scrolling down and going through some more of the smaller factions. So let's go to DOS. So DOS, once again, another small 1-2 man faction. You can see they've just built the basics going on their plunge miners, and a lot of these guys survive by staying out the way or running around in sort of large sort of not colony groups, more groups of people that'll help them stay alive. So let's go to the HOS base. So over at the HOS base, this is another small little faction that's taking place, living in this large bunker type rover where they can travel around and do various other things. But they've been doing some mining, some drilling down here, and just getting this thing off the ground. I'm guessing getting this production and all this facility started out. A good way of becoming a nomad in the wasteland. So scrolling down, we have also got KOL. KOL have done themselves another small little outpost. We don't usually look at too many of the smaller places because there isn't too much to have a look at, but you can see they've been working on different symbols, and they've got these little rovers taking place. The rovers, of course, are much smaller in size because there's less manpower behind these teams, but because of that, I wouldn't worry about them. They're still quite scary to face, especially some of them are dead feisty little players. Right, so let's move on a little bit further. We've had a look at KOL. What else have we got on the list? We've got some RSB. So RSB over here, I've got this lovely little gated compound, another one of the small little factions. They focused a little bit on defense, and they've been starting to get the pistons up. They've also got these really nice rovers that are tucked in here once the game catches up. These definitely look like a certain player's designs. Let's have a quick look inside. Yeah, he's built himself a little truck, and he's built himself this little tunnel type mining machine. Very, very cool indeed. Let's jump back into the blueprints menu. So we've seen ADI, we've seen DBS, we've seen Fed, we've seen KOL. Let's see if there's anyone else we've missed. So we've got Mr. Truck. I know this one is over at Mr. Pigeons Base. Let's just try to get ourselves out these blocks. So here's Pigeons Base, another solo type faction. You can see he's just living out here in the wasteland. Luckily enough, he's not been attacked yet. He's been building himself some of these little cool armoured vehicles. Of course, he enjoys a bit of shack, so he's got a nice big billboard of him up there on the side of his base. Maybe protecting him from attack, who knows. So bringing this video to a close, we're going to take a look at one final small outpost. Now I believe this is only a 1 or 2 man outpost, but you can see they begin the construction of a giant rover. Looks like it's got one of these hot pink wheels. They've got themselves this cool little area over here that has this low rim ramp that goes up and down. And over this side they've got themselves some various bits in this really cool little facility. They've also got a little area over on this side of the mountain. It looks like a little docking pit, perhaps for some sort of storage of the rovers, and as we go in here they've got themselves a really cool production area as well as building themselves a little lab like that. I really do appreciate it. We've also got a danger room. Ooh, is that where reactors and batteries are stored? A really cool base layout by this faction. So wrapping that up here, I'd love to know in the comment section below which is the favourite base you've seen today. If you like the big bases, let me know. If you like the more solo or small ones, let me know as well. And I'd like to thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.